Veronica Joyner has been a transformative force in the lives of thousands of young Philadelphians for over 25 years. She has an amazing legacy of education, motivation, and love. Her journey began with Parents United for Better Schools, an organization she founded over 25 years ago.
I formed Parents United for Better Schools, Inc. in 1984. I had to file a discrimination suit on behalf of my son, and parents, after it was appeared in the paper, started calling me saying they were having similar problems and other issues. And I tried sending them to other organizations that had formed in Philadelphia to help parents, and parents would come back to me. So I resigned my job because I saw it as a very serious problem after a child was kicked in the chest and died at the Glover Cleveland Elementary School. And I had to help the parent. And I decided that was a turning point, that children are not supposed to go to school to die. So that was an issue, and I started organizing parents and organized about 20,000 parents in the city of Philadelphia. The school district subpoenaed my mailing list. And as we said, we represented 20,000. They were trying to give condoms to only inner city children. And I felt that was discriminatory because all children, I told them to learn their ABCs, abstinence before condoms. And so I went to City Hall, testified. And that's when we filed a complaint against the school district on the giving kids condoms, encouraging them to engage in activity that they should not.
Ms. Joyner's love of children and their education led her to create the PUBS organization.
After dealing with a couple of discriminatory cases, we started tutoring children because as a teacher, parents were talking to me about the fact that their children weren't getting a good education, and many were being labeled as special ed. And many of those children are not special education students. They're just making double money when they can classify a child. And so I started tutoring kids that they said was special ed, and they became doctors and lawyers and accountants and engineers. And I tutored kids for over 10 years. We tutored about 1,000 kids a year, 500 in my summer program and 500 in my fall program. And the program became so well known that principals only needed a letter from me stating that the child was registered and another letter saying they completed the summer program, and children would not be retained in grade as a result.
You mentioned double money. Explain that.
Once you're classified as a special education student, you get more money and resources because now you're special. You need a special ed teacher. You may need extra accommodations, and more money comes in. So the school district is able to double the dollar signs for children that are classified. And what you find now is more kids are being classified more than ever. And that on every dollar that's spent out of every $100 that's spent on regular kids, 2 cents, of every $100 that's spent on special ed kids and regular students, only 2 pennies are spent of that $100 on gifted. So we're not promoting gifted, smart kids. We're promoting slow kids.
Is this practice still going on today?
It sure is. There's been a study done that I have the report that this is going on in other states, not just in Philadelphia. So wherever you find an urban school, you're going to find huge numbers of African American students in special ed, and most boys are in special ed. Jawaza Kajufu's book called Countering the Conspiracy to Destroy Black Boys chart at the 3rd grade that they start building prisons based on the number of children that can pass the state test and can't pass it, that prisons are built. So there's a pipeline there between the schools and the prison system. Most of the violence in Philadelphia is contributed to poor schools. When you're not teaching children to learn or to use their hands through vocational schools, and we've shut down most of them, they start doing illegal dropping out of school, stealing, selling drugs, because you must have food, shelter, and clothing to survive. So you do whatever you have to do to survive in this world. We're not educating our kids. We're not even trying to educate our kids. I am now back to tutoring, and I'm finding that the children are in worse shape now than they were 25 years ago.
Going back in history, talk to us about the transition from pubs to the Mathematics, Civics, and Sciences Charter School.
It was a transition that was needed. We moved from the tutoring program, and then the charter school law passed in 1998. And I applied and received my charter after much fighting to get it in 99. I opened in 1999, and I would tutor over 1,000 students in grades 1 through 12, and I opened as the largest charter in the state of Pennsylvania at the time.
Throughout the hallways of the Mathematics, Civics, and Sciences Charter School, the rich legacy of African American culture is represented. This, combined with Miss Joyner's tough and steady motherly love, led to high attendance and graduation rates.
Our students had good attendance because if they had poor attendance, they would meet with me, and I would find out you need an alarm clock, you need me to call you in the morning. And they knew that because I had 100% attendance for my 25 years, nearly perfect attendance. So they know I would be here every day on time. And I expected the same thing of my students. So they came to school, they graduated, and many started here in the first grade and ended in the 12th grade. And we were able to get in the 90s number of students in college. And my last 4-year cohort, 100% of those students. So they came into school as 9th graders, and they 4 years later graduated as 12th graders and went into college.
Throughout its 25-year history, the students of MCSCS have won many awards and accolades, including the winners of an international mock trial.
Yes, we won a competition. We are the international mock trial champions. We had to beat about 70 private schools and 7 countries to win first place with the international. They were state champs for Pennsylvania 2 years in a row. And then we, basketball team, won the PIAA championship, and they won that twice and were runner-ups twice. And we don't have a gym here, but my students were still able to use gyms in churches and wherever we could find places for them to practice. Our cheerleaders were number 1 in the PIAA championship. We won a mock stock market. There was a stock market game with 163 suburban schools. We were the only public charter school to compete, and we won that championship. We won as the top school for stocks, trading stocks. After our students learned how to do it, they did very well. Math competitions, Drexel, Drexel. What was it? What was that school? It was Drexel. Drexel gave a competition. They wanted to see which math students, which high schools were top math students. And we won the competition, and one individual student beat all the schools. So people ask me, what is my ingredient? What do you do that your children take top honors? I said, I simply teach them their history. I teach them as African American children that we have suffered. A lot of people in our past have suffered and died, and that someone way back in your ancestry survived the cruelest treatment of human beings for you to be here. And you owe that person a debt to be the best person you could be. So whenever my students go into competition, I tell them they have to be better. They can't just compete, they have to be better. And they go in with that attitude and they prepare. And they prepare and they win. And so that's why we have so many trophies. And some schools will see our schools and say, we might as well give up. Because they already know, because I didn't allow my students in the mock trial, they could not read anything. They had to memorize 2 and 3 pages of an opening, closings. And we have a courtroom here, so they felt very comfortable practicing in a courtroom. And they would memorize everything while other students were reading cards, index cards, and papers. They had no papers in front of them. So that has always been, I said, use your brain. You don't have to read anything. You can memorize it. So the key to our success was our children memorizing.
You have a phrase that you have coined throughout the years. You cannot expect what you don't inspect.
Yes.
What does that mean?
That means that if you don't inspect it, if you don't inspect it, don't expect it. Because I would walk the hallways of this school every day, and we strive for excellence. And my teachers had to look professional, and they had to act professional and be role models. I didn't allow classrooms to be unorganized or dirty or kids talking out of turn. Everyone had to raise their hand. So the charter school office sent 4 teachers here one day that we were going through our reevaluation. And they said it was a pleasure to sit in classrooms to see the exchange of respect for the students and the teachers. So it's expectations. If you don't expect anything, you don't get anything. And if you have very low expectations, that's what you're going to get.
Throughout the years, you've also taught your kids the importance of their civic duty. There's been many times where your kids would go out and feed the homeless and do other types of community-driven activities.
Yeah.
Speak to that.
We sponsored a homeless program here where for years, up until COVID, we would go out every Thursday and we would take clothes, shoes, coats, blankets, food, and my children had to participate. So everyone here participated. You donated something, 25 cents, a penny, whatever you could come up with. And the school would take the rest to buy the lunch meat. We would make turkey sandwiches. There would be a sweet treat, fruit and water that we would give. And our line would be at Love Park, and it would just circle around the corner. We had hundreds of people waiting and depending on us. So every Thursday, we would be out there feeding the homeless.
Within the past year or so, you decided to retire after 25 plus years, but there was some opposition from parents, opposition from politicians even. What was your response to that opposition?
Yeah, I decided at age 74 that I was a bit tired. The last 2 years showed me that what I wasn't expecting, I wasn't expecting to get. I wasn't getting what. And I saw the school sliding a little bit. And I spoke to my staff. I said, I will need everyone in this building to step up. Because I ended up not being able to walk the building as I did because of having a back injury. So that was slowed down a little bit. And I saw the slippage. So what I did was I decided after the school gave me a 1-year charter to accept that 1 year to place my children and my teachers. And that's what I used that 1 year for. And I had a few parents. Most of my parents understood because I had actually educated generations of kids. I was now educating the children of the children that had graduated.
Let's talk about the legacy of Veronica Joyner. What does that look like? How does that feel?
Well, my legacy started, I guess, with my first graduation class. You know, we talk a lot about not being able to make it. How do we change the paradigm? Our kids are not going to college. So when I gave diplomas to nearly 100 children every year, many were the first generations and said, I'm the first one to get a diploma. So that change was made. The ones that went to college were the first to go to college and the first to graduate college. So they became professors. My niece is a professor, Sharnice, at Howard. She graduated from Howard. And I have a nephew that's a lawyer and another student that's a lawyer. I have engineers, I have doctors. So these children changed the paradigm because now they are professionals. So we can talk about poverty as much as we want. But if we're not doing anything to change it, if we're not educating children, because I grew up very poor, one of 7. And I said to my mother, I will never be poor. And I went to college and I studied and I wasn't poor.
Veronica Joyner, a legacy of education, motivation, and love.